Annyeong! Welcome to L Sessions! We are moving so far with Excel spreadsheet, but before we can send this to management, we need to make it look a little bit more attractive. So, on the coming videos, we're going to be focusing on the tools that allow us to make our worksheets look more professional. Most of these tools are located on the home tab of the ribbon. And we're going to start in this video with looking at the group called Font Tools. Now, first of all, this heading doesn't look much like a heading. So I'd like to make it look a little bit better. Before you can actually apply any formatting, you must select the cell or cells that need to change. So I'm going to click on the heading and I'm going to come up to my font tools. And the first thing I'd like to do is to change the font. So by default in Excel, it is Calibri, which is actually very readable. But I'm going to click the drop down and have a look at what else is on offer. Hover off the different fonts, you will notice I'm getting a live preview in my worksheet. So if the live preview on your part is not working, better check your Excel options. We already have a tutorial about it. I will just put the link here. So going back, it hasn't changed it. It's just showing me what it will look like. Now, we really should go with our organization standard fonts. But we are here to have a little bit of a play. So I'm going to go for something a bit silly. And click to select. The other thing I need to do is make this heading look a bit bigger. Just to the right of your font is the font size. So if I click the drop down again, and again I get that live preview. So I can hover over till I find a size I like and then click to select. Just to the right of the font size are two really useful little tools: increase font and decrease font. And this allow you to make quick adjustments. So if I click a few times on there, you see it's getting better. And if I click a few times on there, it's getting smaller. So our heading is now looking a lot better, I think. So what about our column headings? Do they need some help? So this time I'm going to select the entire row, click on it, then Control Shift right. So now I will look at the tools in the bottom of my font group, and now I think this will stand out a bit better if they were bold. So I'll click this one. And of course, it does what it says. If I wanted to turn that off again, so if I didn't want them to be bold, I just click back onto the bold and it's off. So it's just a bit of on and off switch. So let's leave that set on. In a similar way, I can also change my font to italics. So one click and it's now italics. And if I decide, no, I don't really like that, I can turn that off. And we also have our underline, and that's a single click again to apply, and a single click to remove. Now, I think that my text would look a bit better if I change the color. So we have two color change here, the fill color and our font color. So the fill color looks like a little paint bucket and it actually changes the cell color. So I'm going to click the drop down And I'm going to go for a nice dark blue. I'm then going to come to my font color and again click on the drop down and choose white, of course, to stand out. There. So one of the reasons we apply formatting to a spreadsheet is to make the data more readable. And a tool that can help a lot with this is the Borders tool. So this tool is just right here. It's like a small window. So before we can use it, however, we must select the data we want to apply the Borders tool. So I'm going again to select all of my data here. Control A, and then except for the total. There. Click on the drop down and then I will choose all borders. Now if I take away for a moment, you'll see it has applied borders around each of the selected cells, which makes the grid data much easier to read. So for my total row, I'd like to do something a little bit different. So again, we will highlight this row, Control Shift arrow right, but this time I'm going to choose the top and double bottom border. This time, what it's done is just applied a line at the top and a double line at the bottom, and it just makes the total row stand out a little bit. Another option is to just put a box around the outside of the data. So that's what I'm gonna do here. Select my data, Control A, come up to my borders, and choose Take Outside Borders. You'll see this hasn't actually filled the lines in between the cells. It's just on the outside box. So quite a lot of options, and if you want to, you can even get a little bit fancy. So let's try and do something nice to separate our heading from the rest of the data. So I'm going to start by selecting all the cells in the top row. And I'm going to come back to the borders and click the drop down. But this time, rather than any of the boring block options, I'm going to come right to the bottom and choose more borders. There. So this is the more border dialog, and it allows you to change not just the line style but also the color and specify exactly which of the borders you'd like to include. So we're going to go for a nice thick border. And I'm going to change my color to a nice blue. I think there. I'm just going to check my preview, and you can see at the moment I'm getting nothing. So it's important to now specify where you want that border to go. And I just want a bottom border. But you'll see if I click these other things, it will apply as well. So I'm going to click that off and say okay. So there's my nice blue border. Now, the last thing I need to show you is how you get rid of borders, because they can be a little bit frustrating. So let's say, for example, I click on the cell and accidentally apply the border. Now, that's going to look really silly when I come to print this sheet, so I need to get rid of it. I do that by clicking back on the cell and coming to my borders icon. This time I'm going to choose no border. You can see that has removed the border from the cell. But OMG, it has also removed the border from this cell, because they share the border. So So now it's important to replace that. So once again, click in here and come back to here and just reapply all borders, all fixed up. So tip to the wise though, wait until your spreadsheet is pretty close to finished before you start adding borders. And that's it, starting to look quite good. Now have a go at playing with some of these tools